All right, let's talk about the Philadelphia Eagles because Monday Night Football gave us the kind of game that defines what this team is all about. It wasn't pretty, it wasn't explosive, but it was tough, gritty, and full of that Philly fight that's become this team's identity. The Eagles walked away with a 10-7 win over the Green Bay Packers, moving to 7-2 on the season. And yeah, a lot of people were frustrated with how the offense looked. You could feel it all over social media after the game. People saying the offense has lost its rhythm, that it's too conservative, too predictable. But let's take a step back here. That game was played in brutal conditions, freezing temperatures, swirling winds, and two defenses that were flat out dominating from start to finish. It's not surprising that nobody scored until the third quarter. Sometimes, football is about surviving the environment and finding a way to win when everything's stacked against you. What impressed me the most wasn't what the offense didn't do, but what the defense did do. That Eagles pass rush was absolutely ferocious. From the very first drive, you could feel the pressure building. Quarterback Jordan Love never looked comfortable. He was constantly running for his life, constantly trying to escape the pocket, and that's exactly the kind of tone this Eagles defense wants to set. They want opposing quarterbacks to wake up the next morning feeling like they just went through a car crash. This was, without a doubt, the best collective pass rush performance of the season. The defensive line was relentless, and the new addition of Jalen Phillips? What a debut. Phillips was everywhere. For his first game in Midnight Green, the guy looked like he'd been in this system for years. He picked up the playbook fast, jumped into heavy snaps right away, and made his presence felt immediately. 8 pressures, 7 hurries, 2 quarterback hits, and a forced fumble that he helped create along with Reed Blankenship on that massive 4th-and-1 stop. You can't ask for a better debut. The moment he stepped on the field, you could tell the energy of that defense shifted. And that's the thing about Philadelphia's defense. It's built on depth, rotation, and attitude. Every guy that steps up seems ready to dominate, and Phillips added another dangerous layer to that mix. Now, the offensive side of the ball was a different story. Outside of that first drive and that big play sequence with Saquon Barkley's 41-yard catch and run, followed by the 36-yard bomb from Jalen Hurts to Devonta Smith, it felt like the offense just couldn't find any rhythm. Too many 3-and-outs, too many conservative calls, too much predictability. It was the kind of night where you could sense that they were trying not to make mistakes instead of trying to make plays. That's not the version of the Eagles' offense that we're used to seeing. And yet, even with all that frustration, they still found a way to pull it out. That's what separates great teams from the rest. They win even when they're not playing their best. Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts have built a culture around exactly that. Winning close games is a skill. It's not luck. You got to have the composure, the confidence, and the belief that no matter how ugly the game gets, you'll find a way. Under Sirianni, this team has thrived in those clutch moments. When the pressure's on, when the crowd is tight, when everything feels like it's slipping away, that's when they're at their best. You could see it again against the Packers. The defense held strong, the offense did just enough, and the Eagles came out with another tough win that says a lot about who they are. And let's be honest, the way this defense is playing, it's giving off serious Super Bowl vibes. This isn't just a solid defense. It's the kind of unit that can carry you deep into January and maybe even February. If you think back to that Super Bowl run a couple of years ago, one of the keys to their success was how dominant they were at getting after the quarterback. Against Patrick Mahomes, they racked up 6 sacks, 22 pressures, and completely threw him off rhythm. That kind of defensive dominance can win championships, and what we're seeing now is a defense that looks ready to do it again. Against the Packers, they pressured Love on 17 of his 42 dropbacks. That's insane. When he was under pressure, he completed just 3 passes for 21 yards and took 3 sacks. Those are suffocating numbers. When your defense can do that, when they can completely dictate the pace of game, you don't have to score 30 points to win. You just have to protect the ball, make smart plays, and let your defense eat. And while we're on the subject, let's talk about Howie Roseman, because this Jalen Phillips move is looking like another masterstroke. Roseman gave up a 3rd-round pick to bring Phillips in, but if Phillips ends up leaving down the line, the Eagles would get a compensatory 3rd-round pick back. That's the kind of front office magic that keeps this team competitive year after year. But if Phillips keeps playing like this, you can bet the team's going to want to lock him down long term. He looked like a guy who's about to become a core piece of this defense. When you put all of that together, a dominant defensive front, a quarterback who's calm under pressure, and a head coach who knows how to get the best out of his roster, you've got a team that can beat anyone. And that's why this win over Green Bay, even though it wasn't flashy, might be one of the most important of the season. It showed that the Eagles can win in any kind of environment, against any kind of opponent. That's the mark of a true contender. Now, if we zoom out and look at where things stand in the NFC East, it's clear that the Eagles are sitting in a great spot. They're sitting at 7-2, and their biggest threat, the Dallas Cowboys, are still trying to keep up. The gap between these two teams in the standings is starting to widen, and when the Eagles are playing even close to their potential, there's really no one in the division who can touch them. The Commanders have fallen apart this season. The Giants are a mess after firing their head coach, and the Cowboys, while talented, just haven't shown they can consistently beat top-tier teams. For the Giants, it's been a brutal fall from grace. After that surprising playoff run a couple of years ago, everything has come crashing down. Injuries, poor roster management, and inconsistency have turned them from a playoff winner into one of the worst teams in the league. And the Commanders? They're exactly what a lot of people expected them to be: old, slow, and struggling to stay healthy. That means the Eagles basically have full control of the division. But for Philadelphia, the goal isn't just winning the division. It's about securing that number 1 seed in the NFC and locking in home field advantage for the playoffs. Because if there's one thing we all know, it's that nobody wants to come into Lincoln Financial Field in January. That place turns into a fortress. The fans are loud, the weather is brutal, and the team feeds off that energy. Since the early 2000s, the Eagles have been nearly unbeatable at home in the postseason. They've won 14 of 19 home playoff games and have taken 4 straight NFC Championship games in South Philly. When the lights are on and the stakes are high, that crowd becomes a weapon. And that's why every win matters. Even these low-scoring, grinded-out games like the one against Green Bay. They build confidence, they build chemistry, and they keep the team in that number 1 seed conversation. The Eagles don't need to be perfect right now. They just need to keep stacking wins, stay healthy, and keep that defense rolling like this. Because if this pass rush continues to dominate and the offense finds its rhythm again, there's no reason this team can't make another deep postseason run. All right, so let's dive into the bigger picture now, because what's happening across the NFC right now is fascinating. The Eagles, sitting at 7-2, have climbed to the top of the conference, but there's still a lot of football left to be played, and plenty of teams are quietly stacking wins trying to make things interesting. The big question every Eagles fan is asking is this: who's really standing in their way for that number 1 seed? Because when you look at the path to the Super Bowl, that top seed means everything. It gives you a week off to rest. It guarantees home field advantage. And for a team like Philadelphia, that could be the difference between another Super Bowl appearance and a heartbreaking playoff exit. Let's start with the teams breathing down their necks. The Seattle Seahawks have been quietly impressive this year. They're 7-2, just like the Eagles. And while a lot of people question how good they really are since they haven't beaten many elite teams, you can't deny what they're doing. That defense is nasty, top 5 in the league. And their offense, led by a balanced attack, is finding ways to win close games. Seattle's one of those teams that might not blow you away on paper, but when you watch them play, you can tell they're built to compete. And when you consider how tough it is to win in Seattle, nobody in the NFC wants to see that team at home in the playoffs. The Eagles haven't won there in forever, so keeping them from getting that top spot is crucial. Then you have the Detroit Lions, who have become one of the best stories in football. Dan Campbell has completely changed the culture in Detroit, and his players are buying into every word he says. They've got that old-school mentality, tough, physical, relentless. At 6-3, they're sitting right behind the Eagles and Seahawks, and even though they stumbled against Green Bay, they're still a dangerous team. Jared Goff is playing the best football of his career. The offensive line is one of the most dominant units in the league, and that defense, while inconsistent, has moments where it looks elite. The Lions are a real threat. And guess who the Eagles have to play next? That's right, Detroit on Sunday Night Football. It's going to be a huge test for both teams, and it could shape the entire NFC playoff race. You also can't count out the Rams. After a rough start, they found a rhythm and sit at 7-2 as well. Sean McVay's offense looks sharp again, and their defense, anchored by Aaron Donald, continues to make big plays when it matters. They're one of those teams that, if they stay healthy, can sneak up on anyone in January. The Bears, believe it or not, have worked their way back into the mix too. After starting 0-2, they've gone 6-1 since, finding life with their young core and a defense that's starting to click. They're not at the Eagles' level, but they're hanging around that wild card picture. And in this conference, every win matters. Meanwhile, the Packers, who the Eagles just beat, are hanging onto the 7th seed. They've been a bit of a roller coaster team. Some weeks they look unstoppable. Other weeks they can't get out of their own way. Jordan Love has flashes of brilliance, but he's also making the kind of mistakes that come with inexperience. The good news for the Eagles is that these inconsistencies from other NFC contenders only help solidify their path. When you look at the rest of the field, teams like Minnesota, Carolina, even the injury-riddled 49ers, none of them seem capable of keeping up with the kind of depth and talent that Philadelphia brings every week. Now, let's talk schedules, because this is where things really get interesting. The Eagles' remaining slate is no joke. They've had one of the toughest schedules in the league from day one, and it doesn't let up. Up next, they've got Detroit at home on Sunday Night Football, a primetime clash against a team coming off extra rest. After that, they head to Dallas for a divisional showdown. And let's be real, playing the Cowboys in their stadium is never easy. The energy, the crowd, the rivalry, it always brings out the best from both teams. The Eagles haven't always played their best football there, but this feels like one of those games where they can make a statement. Right after Dallas comes a Black Friday matchup against the Bears, and that's another quick turnaround. That kind of short week can wear a team down, especially late in the season. Then there's Monday Night Football in Los Angeles against the Chargers, a team that, while inconsistent, has the talent to give anyone problems. The road ahead isn't easy, but this is what championship-caliber teams are built for. If Philadelphia keeps its composure and continues to find ways to win close games, that number 1 seed is absolutely within reach. Compare that to Seattle's upcoming stretch, which looks far easier on paper. They've got the Rams, Titans, Vikings, Falcons, Colts, Panthers, and 49ers left. Not exactly a murderer's row. That means the Eagles can't afford to slip. Their advantage right now is in conference record. They've been dominant against NFC opponents, and that could be the tiebreaker that keeps them on top. Detroit's schedule, on the other hand, is brutal. They face the Eagles, Giants, Packers, Cowboys, Rams, Steelers, Vikings, and Bears. That's a gauntlet, and it's why many analysts think they'll eventually drop a few more games. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest updates on our Philadelphia Eagles. And don't be shy. Share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. In what has quickly become the talk of the league, whispers around the locker room and social media are now centered on one name: Jalen Hurts. The quarterback, already known for his composure and leadership, reportedly unleashed some hard-hitting truths that have left both fans and insiders buzzing. Sources close to the team hint that Hurts didn't hold back, calling out certain practices and mindsets that, until now, few would have dared to mention publicly. There's speculation that his comments were aimed at tightening the team's focus, but the tone reportedly sent shockwaves, challenging both teammates and coaches to rethink their approach. What makes this moment particularly explosive is the aura of confidence surrounding Hurts. Observers note that he doesn't just talk, he backs it up on the field. This blend of honesty and performance seems to be galvanizing the Eagles' locker room, creating a buzz that the team might be on the verge of something special. Some insiders are even whispering that Hurts' outspokenness could redefine the team's culture, giving the Eagles a psychological edge over rivals who underestimate their unity and intensity. Fans online have already taken sides. Some praise Hurts for speaking his mind, calling him a leader who isn't afraid to stir the pot if it means winning. Others speculate about the internal friction his comments might spark, wondering how coaches and veteran players will react to a quarterback willing to openly critique the status quo. Either way, one thing is clear. Jalen Hurts has made a statement that will be felt far beyond the locker room. Rumors are flying, chatter is rampant, and everyone is watching to see whether his words will translate into another level of dominance for the Eagles, whom many are already quietly labeling as the team to beat. The combination of skill, audacity, and leadership has fueled speculation that the Eagles' season could be shaping up to be unforgettable. Analysts and fans alike are waiting, almost breathlessly, for the next chapter, eager to see if Hurts' candid revelations were a spark or a storm. In a league where whispers can turn into headlines overnight, Jalen Hurts has ensured that all eyes remain on Philadelphia. Whether it's locker room drama or sheer football genius, the buzz is unmistakable. The Eagles are a team to watch, and Hurts just made sure nobody forgets it. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Philadelphia Eagles, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.